In today's tutorial, I want to show you step-by-step how to create a professional-looking website using Elementor Pro.
You're going to learn how to design this homepage using Flexbox. Now, this homepage is also mobile friendly, ensuring that it looks great on all devices.
By the end of this tutorial, you are going to have a fully functional, professional-looking website.
You're also going to learn how to design a custom-built blog post. Now, all your posts are all going to look consistent throughout the whole website. You will also learn how to create your headers, footers, and also the look builder, which enables you to design beautiful-looking blog posts on your blog page.
Now, before we get started, I'd also like to talk about my bonus. If you sign up for Elementor hosting using my link in the description below, I'm going to also give you access to my course called Elementor Mastery. This course will also teach you how to master Elementor to produce amazing looking websites.
All right, so when it comes to designing our website, there's two main things we're going to need in place. Firstly, we're going to need a page builder, and we're also going to need a hosting service. Thankfully, Elementor has bundled this into one, and this will just make the design process very, very easy. So the link I have in the video description below will give you a 50% discount. Or when you get to this page here, you want to go to Elementor hosting. So I'm going to click here. And now you can see we have all our packages. So the basic one here is 40% off. So if you want to design just one website, this is the one you want to go with. So if you click on buy now, this now will take you into this page. Now I've already gone ahead and confirmed my plan, and I've also signed in or created my account. So the next step now is to add my first name, last name. So I'll just enter that. So once you've purchased this, you're going to get an email, and you're also going to get a username and password into the Elementor dashboard. So this is where all your websites are going to show. So in our case, we only have one website. This also has a temporary domain name, which means later on, I will show you how to connect it to your actual domain name. So once you are here, all you have to do, if you want to take a look at any other items here, this is where your subscriptions are. It tells you your bandwidth, it tells you how much storage you have, and so on. And if you do want to upgrade, you can also upgrade from here. Over here, we also have the community and also your FAQ and support. All right, so we don't want to waste a lot of time here. Let's go ahead and start working on our website. So to do that, you want to come back over here to websites, and then you want to click on edit with Elementor. So the first thing you want to do when you're in this dashboard is to head over here to Elementor and then click on settings. The reason why we're going here is because when we click here on features, you're going to get a list of all the features or all the features in development that Elementor has. So we want to work on these latest cutting edge features because this is going to be added in the stable version of Elementor. So mastering this now will be a very, very good thing. All right, so as you can see here, there's so many features. So the one I'm looking for really is the global style guide and also the nested elements and the Flexbox. So when we take a look here at the whole page, you can see all these features here. So once you've selected them, you want to click on Save Changes, and pretty much you are good to go. So with that said, now the next step is to set up our home page. So we're going to come over here to Pages, click on All Pages, and then I'm going to click on Add New. I'm going to give this page a name. I'm just going to call this Home, and then click on Save. Okay, so now that I'm on my home page, the next step now is to set our colors. So I'm going to come over here to Settings, and I'm going to go to Global Colors. So as you can see, we have our style guide here, and this is the page that's going to control all our colors on our website. So what I usually do to create my color palette is to use a website called colors.co. Now this is really awesome because it's going to help us create our colors for our website that are going to be working consistently. So all you have to do is to click on the space bar, and this will cycle through all the colors, and I'm going to show you in a moment. Let's say you find some colors that you are happy to use, and I'm just going to cycle through again and choose some colors. So I will probably go with something like this. Okay, so let's say these are the colors to start off with. The cool thing here is you can drag this and have it in position like that. So once you've cycled through the color palettes and you're happy with the starting point for your colors, this is where you'd come in and select your colors. So let's say this is going to be my main branding color. What you want to do is just lock it for now. And then now we're going to look for our accent color. So this is the color that we're going to use for all our buttons and our call to actions. So again, I'm just going to click on the space bar and see a color that would work great. So what I'm going to use is this color right here. I'm just going to drag next here, and then I'm going to lock it. Next, I'm going to look for my secondary color. So I'm going to keep going through this, and my secondary color is going to start off with this color right here. So what I usually do for my secondary color is to go for a very light color. So this is the color I'm going to use to distinguish all my sections. So again, I'm going to go ahead and lock it. And finally, we're going to need maybe our font color, which pretty much is going to be our dark gray. So first of all, let me just take these colors here into my color palette. So I've clicked here to copy my color. So back over here on my colors style guide, I'm going to click on this color like that and then paste the value. Now I know as we're designing like this looks like it's going to take a very long time, but once you do it once, this is pretty cool. Again, I'm going to copy it here, go to my accent color, and I'm going to paste it. Let's go back. So this works really great because it's going to save you a lot of time as we're designing our website. So it needs to be done initially. And once you do that, pretty much you are good to go. Now I've selected the text there. So I'm just going to drag this all the way down so that I can have a gray color for my text. So that's dark enough because most of my website is going to be white or a very, very subtle color. Next, we have our colors, our fonts here. So again, for our primary fonts, let's choose Poppins. So I might as well set up my primary color here. So just like what we're doing with the fonts, with the colors here, we're doing the same here for the fonts as well. So we're just going to set them up and just make sure that everything here is going to be consistent as we're designing our website. So again, I'm going to come over here, set Poppins. So pretty much everything here is going to be Poppins. All right, great. So now that I have all my fonts set, I'm going to hit on Save Changes. Now we can also add more colors if we wanted to, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So I'm just going to make sure that, okay, I've got all my colors here. I can also add my colors by clicking on the color tab. So now that I'm back on my color, I can click here on this plus button. Okay, so we are done here. At any point, if I need to add any more colors, all I have to do is to come to my style guide here and add my colors. But we're probably going to do that as we're designing our website. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so the next step now is to work on my header and my footer. So to do that, I'm just going to exit out of here and go to Theme Builder. So here on our page builder, there's several templates that we can create. So as you can see, we have our header, footer, single post, and so on. So I want to start off by creating my header. So I'm going to click here on this plus button and create my own header. The cool thing about this is the header we're going to create can be seen across the whole website. So we have some defaults here. So we can use what is available here to use this as a starting point. But you know what? I want to teach you how to design this from scratch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out of here, click on this plus button, and I'm now going to go in and choose my direction. So with that selected, there's a few elements I'm going to need in here. I'm going to click here on this plus button and search for my logo. So I'm just going to use my site logo for now, but at the later stage, I'm going to add my own logo. So now that I've added my logo, the next step is to add our menu. So let me search for menu like that, drag and drop it. Okay, so now we have two elements here. We have our logo and we also have our menu. Now at the moment, our menu here is not set because we need to set all our pages for this menu to show. But for now, I'm going to go in now and click on this little section icon here. And this is going to take me to my container editor. So I'm going to click here on horizontal. So now you can see my menu and my logo are now side by side. So all I have to do now is to just resize my logo. So I'm going to click on it and then I'm going to come over here to style. I can set my width here. And all I have to do now is to align it to the left. And then over here for our menu, I am going to align it to the right. But of course, we don't have it yet. The next step now is to just add a slight color here onto my main area here, because if I keep it white, then this is going to clash with other things on my website. So what I need to do now is to click on style and then click on a background type, click over here. And now you can see now that we have our colors that we added earlier on. So I'm going to add my color and it's very subtle as you can see. And pretty much I'm going to hit now publish. So once I've done that, I can add my condition here and I want my header to show across the entire website. So that's the option I need. Now I can hit save and close. So the next step now is to start working on our pages. So let's go ahead and create them. So now I'm going to exit here. And for our pages, I'm just going to come over here to pages and then click on add new. So let's give this page a name. So I'm going to call this page about us and then click on publish. I'm also going to need a contact page. So I'm going to click here on add new, search for contact, click on publish. And I'm also going to need a blog page. So I'm going to click on add new and let's name this blog like that. Hit publish. Excellent. So now that we have our pages, let's take a quick look and see what our site looks like. So as you can see, we have our logo here, but our menu is not showing. So let's go ahead and fix this problem. All right, so to add our menu, we need to create it first. So I'm going to come over here to appearance and then click on menus. So let's create our menu. We're going to call this main menu, create menu. Now at any point, if you want to take a look at your pages, you want to click here on all pages. And all your pages are going to show here. So here we also have this about, but it's in draft mode. So what you want to do is to click here where it says edit with Elementor and publish it. Because if you don't publish it, this will not show on the menu. So now that I'm on this page, I can hit publish and then I can always go back. So with these 3 pages now, let's add one more. And this is going to be our contact page. So I can name it here, contact, like that. Click on save. And this is going to redirect. And now that it's taken us to this page, we can again hit publish, because if we don't, this won't show on our menu. So now that I've published all my pages, I'm going to hit back so I can go back to my pages. So the next step now is to set this home page as our main home page. All right, so if you click on this drop down, you can set it here as home page. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now that has been successfully set. I'm going to hit OK. Now let's go and create our menu. So I'm going to come over here to appearance, click on menus, and we're going to name our menu main menu and then click on save menu. All right, so now with that selected, we need to come over here to view all so I can see all my pages. So the pages I need to select are the ones I've just created. And you can see here I've chosen the Elementor one. I'm going to click on add to menu. All right, so now that I've added it to the menu, I can also rearrange them. So let's say I want the home page to be the first on the list, and then the about us, and then the blog, and then the contact. So pretty much I am happy with that. I can now hit save menu. All right, great. Let's take a look at our website now and see how far we've gone. I'm going to open this in a new tab like that. And you can see now my home, about us, blog, and contact is now showing. But we want to further customize this because at the moment, this is not looking great. And to do that, we're going to go back to Elementor and then click on our theme builder. So to get there, you want to hover over templates and then click on theme builder. Okay, we're going to click on it. And then we're going to click on the edit button to edit our header. So now let's go into this first container here. I'm just going to drag it and make it smaller. And I think the size looks great like that. And now I'm also going to click on the menu itself. And as I mentioned, I've aligned it to the right, but we need better controls here. So I'm going to click on the container itself. And notice where I'm clicking. I'm going to click on the container here. And I am going to now make sure that everything here is spaced between like that. So it's important that you choose space between to justify your content. And now everything is side by side. Now, I can see here my logo has shifted. So I'm just going to go back in and adjust the size a little bit. So right now it's at 30%. Let's just drag it to about 44. Okay. So as we're here, we might as well take a look at the mobile views. So if I click on the tablet, we can see here that our drop down looks great. Okay, that's fine. But our logo looks a bit small. So let's increase the size like that. And that's how it's going to look like on the tablet. And then on the phone, we're also going to do the same. Let's set it here to 100. So it's very important that when you go in here, you set everything up so that when your website is up and running, everything looks great on all devices. So while I'm here as well, I also want to make sure that all my items are aligned. So I'm going to click on this icon here to align everything center. And I'm also going to do this on the tablet as well. So just make sure that it's centered. And over here, I think it's centered anyway. So that's my header done. I can also add a call to action button if I wanted to, but we're keeping things very, very simple here. All right. So with that said, let's hit publish, and that's our header done. The next step now is to start working on our website. So let us now go back to WordPress. So remember, we created our pages already. So I'm just going to come over here to all pages so I can see all my pages. And we're going to start with the home page. So I'm going to click here on Edit with Elementor. All right, so now that we have our page here, I'm going to click on this plus button to start adding my container so I can start adding all the elements I need. So now that I have this, in fact, you know, this title here is really annoying me. I'm going to click here on this gear icon, and here where it says hide title, I'm just going to say yes, and now my title is gone. All right, so over here, we are now going to start adding all our content. So I want to start by adding a background image to my main hero area here. So to do that, I'm going to come over here to Style and then click on Background. So here I have several options. I can add an image, and I can also add a color. So to add our image, I'm going to click on this plus button. So these are some images that I have on in my media library. But if I wanted to add my own images, I can click here on Upload Files, select Files, and I have some files here that are downloaded onto my computer. I can just highlight the ones that I need and then click on Open. So in your case, you are going to need your own images that you have either taken with your camera or you've bought online through these royalty-free images, or there's also services that you can use where you can use these images absolutely for free. So that's what I've done. I've selected my images. So let's go ahead and add our main hero area. So it's important here that the main hero area is going to be something that entices people. When people see it, they want to take action, and it's precisely going to tell people what your website is about. So here you can decide what your website is about. If it's adventure, make sure you have an image that pretty much showcases the adventure stuff. So I'm going to add this image here. I'm going to hit select, and now you can see my image has been added in this area here. So we can further customize this by going back here to our container, click on layout. So what I want here is a specific height. So I'm going to click on this drop down and set VH. So this VH here just gives me my view height. So I'm going to set this to, let's say 80. Let's see what that looks like. So now you can see I can see more of my image here, which is fantastic. Next, I need to customize my image because I can see that it's repeating here and I don't want that. So come over here to style. So for the image here, it says full. It's exactly what we need. For our repeat, I'm going to set this to no repeat. And now you can see it's looking much better. So for the position, I'm going to center like that. And then for the display size, I can choose cover. And now this has covered the whole area. So this is a much better look if everything is all covered like that. But as you can see, whenever you want to add another image, I mean, this is now going to maintain all the settings. So let's say this is the image. I can select it and boom, just like that, it's now showing. And this looks beautiful because it's covering the whole area. And this is very, very important. So once you've chosen your image, so you can cycle through whatever images you want. Maybe this is a food website. You know, you can just choose your image like that, and that becomes your main image. And it's important that you get this right because you don't want an image that is grainy or an image that doesn't look great. So now that I have this, I think I'm going to go with this image right here. When I hit select. In fact, you know what? Let's go with this one here. It's a bit more fun. Right, so now that we have this, the next step is to add more elements and a call to action. So I'm going to click on this plus button. This time I'm going to add a heading. So my heading is right here. And for this to stand out, I'm going to do a few tweaks, and this is going to be really awesome because you want to know how to do this. So first of all, I'm going to come in here and center this. And right now it's in the top. I don't really want that. So what I'm going to do is to click on this container here, go back to our layout, and I'm going to center this. So now you can see my text is all centered. The next step is to just make it look big. So I'm going to come over here to style, and then for the typography here, I'm going to click this pencil icon and set my size. Now I like using EMs, so let's go ahead and increase that. So since this is our main title, we're going to make it nice and big like that, and let's make it bold. And the next thing I'm going to do is to change the color. So I'm going to set this to white like like that. So let's give this a title and say, join my new adventure. Okay. So if we want our text here to stand out, we need to work on our image here. So I'm going to go back to my background, and this time we're going to add an overlay. So we're going to come over here to background overlay. We're going to click on this classic icon and choose our color. So the color we're going to use here, pretty much you can use whatever color you want. So I want to go with this dark color like that. And this is where now I can adjust my transparency. So you can see here, my text is really like much easier to read. So it's very important to use overlay. So I'm going to go with 1.6 because this is now clear. I can read it easier. Next, I'm going to add my call to action button. So I'm going to search for, in fact, here it is. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to center it. And let's add our color. Come over here to style. Go to global, and you can see now this has chosen my accent color. Remember, I mentioned that this is going to be my accent color. So all my call to actions are going to have this color right here. So I just need to do a few tweaks. So by border radius, I'm going to set this to 2. And I'm also going to increase my text size. So I'm going to come over here. Let's go with 1.2 EM. There we go. In fact, you know what? How about we go to 1.4? So it's nice and big. So if you want to change the text, what the text says here, you can say get started now. Now at a later stage, I'm going to come back and add my URL, which will link it over here. Okay, so with that said, now let's move on to the next part. So here is where we can also use our Flexbox. And this time I'm going to use an element called icon box. Okay, so let's search for icon box. There we go. And I can start adding my icon by clicking over here. So let's start by, let's look for something that shows time. Do we have that? No. Okay, anyway, we can just cycle through these. I'm just going to choose some random icons here, but in your case, you want to choose icons that work with what you are designing. So as I'm scrolling through this, so I'm going to start by adding this one right here, click on insert, and now it's time to customize it. So I can start adding all my colors. And if I wanted to edit my heading, this is my heading here. So I'm just going to call this heading 1. So for my heading here, I'm just going to use some lorem text like that. All right, so we need maybe 3 of these. So I'm going to go in and duplicate this by right clicking. So I'm going to do it one more time like that. So if we want these side by side, again, this is the beauty of using Flexbox. I can always click in here, change the direction, and now you can see they're all side by side. And the next thing I'm going to do now is to just give this some breathing space. So with that selected, I'm going to come over here to style. In fact, I need to come to advanced. And for my padding here, I'm going to first break the chain, change this to percentage. And for the top, I'm going to set this to 6% and 6 to the bottom. So now you can see I have some breathing space over here. In fact, you know what? Why don't we increase this a little bit to about 8? And I'm going to do the same here like that. Now, all I have to do is to go back in and change the icon. So let's say this is going to be a camera. And let's change this one as well. Let's look for map. There we go. I'm going to add my map icon. Click on insert. So that's looking great. Now, these icons, they look a bit too big. So if you wanted to customize that, you can go to style. And so on the size here, I'm just going to reduce this to about 44, like that. And I think that looks better. I'm going to right click on copy. And this is a pretty cool trick. I'm just going to paste the style like that. And this is going to adjust the size. Okay, great. So now I have this section here. Now let's add another one. So I'm going to click on my container here, and this time this container is going to have a color. So I'm going to come over here to style, click on classic, and then I'm going to come to my global colors, and this is where now my secondary color is going to work. All right, so now that I have this, I want to add some images and some text. So I'm going to click on this plus button. So I'm going to click here on image, and you can see now my image has been added. If I click anywhere in here, I can now go in and choose whatever image that I want to use. So let's say I want to go with this one here. I'm going to hit select. Next, I want to add some text. So I'm going to click on this plus button. And for my text, I need to use my text editor like that. All right, so with these two elements in there, I'm now going to change my direction by clicking here back on the container itself. And to change the direction, I'm going to go back to my layout, and this is going to be my direction, just like that. All right, so that's looking great. I can now go in here and set my title for my text by just highlighting this and setting this to, let's say, heading 1. Let's give this a capital letter A. All right, so that's my text there. Now, if I needed to, I can center it, but I'm pretty much happy with that. Now, let's set our padding here as well. So I'm going to come over here to Style, Advanced, sorry, break the chain. Now, let's set the top to, we said 8%, didn't we? Make sure this is set to percentage. Set this to 8 and 8 on the bottom, like that. Now, you may want to add more text here. So to do that, I'm just going to click. Now, this is very important because it just makes your content on your page balanced. So now you can see this is looking much, much better. If you wanted to add a link in here, you can just highlight the text you want to add as a link. And what you want to do is to click on this chain icon. So I'm going to add a blank link like that and then hit enter. And now you can see it's been added. Now, as I'm looking here at the main hero area, it looks like I'm going to also need to add a description text like that. Now let's quickly go in and change the color. So I'm going to click here on Style, center it, and I'm going to change my color. I'm going to go to global, and I'm going to use this color right here. Okay, so now that I have this all set, I'm just going to drag it in between the button and my main title like that. And I'm also going to increase the size. So let's go to typography here and set these to 1 EM. In fact, let's go with 1.4 because since this is the main hero area, it needs to be easy to read. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and publish this. So as you're designing your websites, it's good practice that you also take a look at the mobile views and make sure everything is looking great. So at the moment, as you can see here, this doesn't look great at all. So we want to go in and quickly start fixing things here. So this title looks way too big. Let's go in and fix that. So for my mobile view, I'm going to click on this image right here. On this text, go to typography, and we're going to bring this down a little bit. So I'm going to go with 3.4. Now over here, we're also going to bring it down a little bit. Click here on typography, and oops, let's just bring this down a little bit like that. My button here is fine. Now the way things are laid out here, I'm not pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go in here on this main container. And what I'm going to do is to change the direction by coming over here to layout. So I want all the direction to go down like that. So as you can see now, things are looking a bit better, but we're not done yet because we need to go in and make sure everything looks great. So I'm now going to go in and set my size. So to do that, I'm going to come over here to my width, and I'm going to say custom width and readjust this. So you can see now I can really get it to the size that I want. But you know what? I'm going to use percentage because this is much better. So let's set this to, let's say 60%. Okay, so that's looking great. So the next step now, as you can see, everything is way too close to the edge. I'm going to come over here to my main container, and I am going to set my padding. So I'm going to come over here to advanced. So the padding I need is going to be left and right. So let's start with 4. So I'm going to break the chain and maybe increase this to about 10. And the left, I'm going to do the same as well. Set this to 10. And then the top. In fact, you know what? Let's just go 10 all the way. So this is now giving us much better breathing space between all our elements. And while I have this selected, I'm also going to increase the size or the gap between elements. So you can see I can control it over here. So I want to set this to, let's go with 60. All right, so now this is looking much, much better. It's now neat. So let's do the same. Let's head over here to our phone, and this is looking perfect. Okay, I really like that. Everything is all spaced out. So appearances are very, very important. You want to make sure things are looking great on your page. So, okay, that section now is looking much better, as you can see. Let's move on to another one. So this one here doesn't look great. Take a look here. You can see straight away that this is not looking great. So let us do what we did before, which is click here on the main container itself, go to layout, and over here on the layout, we are going to go with vertical. So now I have my image on the top and my text on the bottom. All right, space between elements. Again, we're going to increase this a little bit. This time we're going with about 28, and we're also going to add spacing around our container. So let's go ahead and do that by coming over here to advanced, and we are going to set this to 10. There we go. So you can see now everything has some breathing space, and this is looking great already. Let's take a look here at the mobile, and again, this is looking great except for the text here. Let's bring this down a little bit. So let's take a quick preview of our site and see what it's looking like. So far so good. I love my logo here, my navigation. This is my main hero area. So this is looking really nice. Okay, great. The next step now is to add a blog template. So let's go ahead and do that, because chances are your website is going to need a blog so people can read your articles and also subscribe to your newsletter. All right, so let me show you how to design that. So I'm going to come back over here to WordPress. So let's head over to posts. I'm going to click on all posts. So we want to start by adding a single post. So let's add the text. Now notice what I'm doing here. I'm adding the text right into the Gutenberg editor because we're going to create a template for this. All right, so now that I've added that, let's add our template title or our article title. And I'm just going to copy this lorem text here like that. Next, we're going to come over here to our featured image, and we're going to set our featured image, and this image is going to be this one right here. I'm going to set it as a featured image. Okay, great. And I may also want to add an image in here. So I'm just going to hit enter, /, and let's look for our image, which is right here at the top. So I'm going to go to my media library. So this is where my image is going to be, and I'm going to go with this one. Hit select. Great. So I have my image now, and I also want to add my category. So to add my category, I'm going to click here on categories. So at the moment I have blog and uncategorized, so you can add a new category here. So I can call this fitness, for example. Add new category, and now I've added it. Okay, now let's go ahead and hit publish, and hit publish one more time. So I now have a blog post. Now if I click on view post, let me show you what it looks like so far. So this looks very bland. It's not very exciting. It's pretty much boring. But we want to change this design and make it really look awesome. So I'm going to come back over here, and I want to keep this open so we can always reference this and compare it to what we are working on. So to create our template, we're going to come back over here to templates and then click on theme builder. So this time it's a new one. So I'm going to click on add new. So this time we are going to go with a single post. Click here. So I want to start from scratch. So I'm going to get rid of this. Click on this plus button here, and let's add our container. So behind our container here, I need to add my featured image. So I'm going to come over here to style, go to classic, click on this gear icon, or in fact, this is the disk icon, whatever you're going to call it. But anyway, if you hover over it, it's going to say dynamic tags. So you want to click here and set this to featured image. And here we are. We have our featured image. So what I need to do, as we did before, we need to come over here to the size, hit cover. Next, we're going to come over here to repeat and set this to no repeat. And then for the position here, we're going to center. Great. And then we don't have any attachments, so we're going to leave that as it is. Next, let's adjust our size. So I'm going to set this again to to VH. And I'm just going to increase this and just look at it and see where best fits this. Okay, so let's go with 48. So I really like that. That's going to be my featured image. So take a look here. At the moment, this is bland. Over here, this is already starting to take shape because this is going to be our main featured image for our template. All right, so while we're here, I also want to add a few things. So first of all, I'm going to click on this plus button, and we are going to add our post title. So I'm going to click on that, and you can see my post title has been added. What else do I need? Let's go ahead and add author box. Okay, now let's add one more item. So post info, what does this have? Okay, I think post info is okay. I'm not sure about the author box. In fact, you know what? Let's get rid of the author box. Delete that. All right, so with this selected, I'm going to come over here to layout and just make sure everything is centered. And we're going to do what we did before, which is add our overlay. So let's go ahead and do that. Come over here to style, come all the way down to background overlay. And then I'm going to click here and choose my color. So the color I'm going to choose, like we did before, is going to be this dark color, black. And then on the opacity, I'm just going to increase this like that to about 74. And then I can just go in and play around with my text. So I'm going to go to style, change my color from this. Oops. I'm going to go to that. And then over here, I'm not happy with the icon colors. So come over here to style, icon, and let's change the color to the accent color. How about that? Yeah, I think that works. So the next step is to add my post content. So first of all, I need to add my structure here. Click on this plus button and let me search for post content. Oops. There we go. Click on that. And now my post content has been added, which is awesome. So what I also want to do while I'm here is to add my post title again. But this time I'm going to drag it to the top. In fact, let's just drag the image itself. I mean the post content. All right, so now I have it on the top there. I'm also going to go in and add some padding. So I'm going to go to advanced and change this to percentage. And for the top, I'm going to add 8 and add 8 for the bottom as well. All right, so that's looking pretty cool. So I have my title here and I also have my image, which is pretty much what we have here. But the difference is I have this awesome looking image here on the top. And I may also want to add other elements to my design here. So I'm going to click on this plus button. And this time, I'm going to give this a background color by coming over here to style and click on the global icon. There we go. So I want to add some comments. So click on this plus button. Let's search for our comments. Yes, there we go. Post comments. Excellent. So I can further customize this if I need to by coming over here. Let's give this a bit of padding by coming over here to advanced. So let's go to percentage here. Okay. Now for this container, I'm also going to give this a bit of padding and let's give the padding top. Let's go to 8, 8. And by the way, this needs to be set to percentage. So make sure as you're entering all your percentages, you are doing it right. All right, so let's also add our author box by clicking on it, but it's going into the wrong place here. I want this up here, just below the content, like that. Okay, now let's further customize this. So the HTML tag. Okay, so as you can see, my text here is not easy to read. So let's go in and change that. So I'm gonna come over here to text. Okay, so that's gonna be my text right there. And I also want to change the size. Okay, let's go with 1 EM, like that. And the size as well of the icon can be adjusted. So let's go to image, image size. And I'm going to go with 60 because I don't want this too like in your face. Right. So post navigation. Do we have? Oh, there we go. We have post navigation. I'm going to drag and drop it. So this allows us to cycle between the posts if we have more than one. And we may also need to add some social media icons like that. And these can be further customized if you want to do that. So let's add a few more. So I'm going to click on duplicates and I'm going to go to this LinkedIn one and change this to, how about we go with, where's TikTok? Because TikTok is quite popular nowadays and I can't find it. That's not good. I tell you what, let's go ahead and delete this and use a different one, which goes straight to our profiles rather than sharing this. So social icons. Oops, that has gone all the way to the bottom. Okay, let's bring it back up right there. All right, so in terms of positioning, I want this aligned to the left like that. So now I can further customize this by coming over here, adjusting the size. So I don't want this too big. I want it very subtle. And we're going to add a bit of padding like that, space between. Okay, so I think that looks great for our post. So now I'm going to hit publish, and look here, it says add condition. So I want all this to be my posts, all singular posts. So now that we have our template all designed, the next step now is to show you how to add some of these articles onto our homepage. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to exit out of here and go to our homepage. So let's go to all pages and edit with Elementor, because ideally we want to show our blog posts on our homepage. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here and let's add a new container here. And what I'm going to do to create this is to add what is known as a loop. So I'm going to search for loop builder, or call loop grid, drag and drop it. Okay, so I'm going to start by creating my template, click on save. So to design this, I can start designing it over here. So I'm going to start by clicking on this plus button to add my new container. So this is going to be my container. Let's add our image by clicking on this plus button. And this is going to be my featured image. There we go. So my featured image has been added. Next, I'm going to add my title in here. So I'm going to click on this plus button, and then I'm going to drag and drop post title. But I want to make sure the size is perfect, because I don't want this too big. Okay, so now that I have my post title, in fact, you know what? I am going to be able to go in and take a look at the different views. Okay, so now that I have my post title, the next item I want to add is the post date, or the post info. All right, so now that I have, while I have this open, I'm going to just go in and change my text color to text. Okay, and then back over here, I don't want to show everything, so I want to get rid of the user. So now it's the time. Let's get rid of the time as well. Okay, so now I pretty much have the date and the comments showing. Next, I want to add, a bit of description, like a post excerpt. So I'm going to click here and drag and drop post excerpt. So I can now go in and really customize this to specify the length. So I want to go with, let's say 80. So 80 here is a bit too much. So let's go with 40. So now I'm back on the title. So what I want to do is to go to style, and then over here on typography, let's set our size. So I want to go with EMs as well. So let's start by trying 2 EM. I think that works. Okay, so in the tablet view, let's go with 1.2. In fact, we'll go with 1.8. And then on the mobile tab, on the mobile view, let's bring it down a little bit. Let's go with 1.4. Yeah, I think that looks better, like that. And let's just switch back over here to desktop. So we're almost there. But one thing I also want to add here is just to make sure that when people click on this, it's going to take them to the actual article. So I'm going to go to post URL. Okay. So when they click on this, it's going to take them to the actual post itself. All right, great. I may also want to add a button here. Should I do that? Okay, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to click on this plus button and search for my button. I'm going to drag and drop it. So for the button here, I'm just going to justify, just make sure that it goes all across. And the link here is going to be post URL. So it's going to go straight to the post. And now let's work on the styling. So first of all, border radius, I'm going to set this to 2. The text here, let's play around with the text a little bit. So I'm going to go to typography. I'm going to set this to 1 EM, like that. And this time I'm going to make it uppercase, and I'm going to space it out like that. Maybe go for 2.8. All right, so I'm pretty much happy with this. And now I'm going to hit publish. Okay, so now we have our post now showing here on the bottom of our site. So what I'm also going to do next is to just add some breathing space to my container here. And so I'm going to come over here to advanced, break the chain and set this to percentage. I think it's 8 that we were using throughout. So now that we have our loop grid, all I have to do is to click here and I can define how many I want to have in here. So let's say I want to have 4 blog items, or I can even have 3. So it just depends what I need in here. So maximum, let's just say 3, because we don't want this to be very populated. So now that I have this all added, the next step now is just to add my title here. So I'm going to click on heading, drag it to the top, and I'm just going to call this latest posts, like that. Reduce the size a little bit. In fact, let's just change this to H4. And then over here on the style, we're going to set this to uppercase. And we're going to add some letter spacing, like that. All right, so I'm pretty happy with this section here. So I'm going to publish it. But this time we need to test and see if this is working. So I'm just going to copy this URL, open it in a new tab, like that. And we can see that this is looking great. So now if I click on the title or if I click on the button, it's going to take me to my article here. And this is the template that we've just created. All right, so the next important setting that we need to do is to make sure that our home page is set as the home page properly. So to do that, we're going to come over here to settings and then click on reading. So here we're going to set our static page to home and our post page to blog. So we want a blog page where when people go to that page, they see all our blog posts. All right, so let's hit save changes and let's create a template for our blog page. So to do that, we're going to come again over here to Elementor templates, click on theme builder. So over here, we're going to click on add new, and then we're going to click on single page. We are going to close out of here, click on this plus button here. And now let's start working with our main container. So again, we're going to add a background image into our container here by coming over here to style. Click on classic, and then we want to click on choose image. So this time we're choosing a specific image that's going to work for our main hero area for our blog page. All right, so for this one here, why don't we go with something like this? Okay, I'm going to hit select. Okay, so with that selected, I'm going to come over here to display size. I'm going to say cover, repeat. It's going to set to no repeat. And then for our position here, we're going to center it. Okay, that's looking great. Now let's adjust our size. So I'm going to come over here to layout, click here on VH. Let's set this to 48. Okay, I think that looks great. And now let's add our title. So I'm going to click here on this plus button and add post title. Next, let's center it. So again, I'm going to click on the container here, center that, and I'm going to leave it to the left. And all I have to do is to change the color by clicking on the text itself. And then over here, we're going to change the color to the secondary color so it really stands out. Now, if you want to, you can always add the overlay by coming over here. If you want your text to really stand out, so you can always come over here and add your background overlay. Now, I did this part in the beginning. Oops. So you want to click here on the color, set this to black, and already that's looking much better. So there's more items you can add here, and that is if we click here. So where it says post title, we can add something before, after, and fallback. So for the after, I'm just going to add a space, and then I'm going to say blog. Okay, so this will add your site name plus blog or page, and then it just says blog after that. Okay, next I am going to add a description here. So I'm going to click on this plus button, and let's add our text, dragging and dropping it. Now that's a bit too long, so I need to adjust that. So I'm going to come over here, change my color here to white. Now this needs to be dynamic. So what I'm going to do is to click on dynamic tags, and I want this to be my site description. So I'm going to add my site tagline like that. Okay, great. So now that I have that all set, the next step now is to add my area where my content is going to go. So I am going to, first of all, add a text module. Click on this plus button. Scroll all the way down. Okay, so I'm just going to call this latest posts like that. Let's make it all caps. So I'm going to come to typography, uppercase. Then let's add a bit of letter spacing. Okay, so that looks much better. Now, what I also need to do is to set my padding by coming over here to advanced, break the chain, and my padding to the top is going to be 8 and 8 to the bottom. Make sure this is set to percentage, because I keep making that mistake where I enter it as normal pixels. All right, so the next item I'm going to add in here is going to be my loop grid. So here it is. Drag and drop it. Now remember, I created this already, so I can just come over here and start searching for it. And here it is. But of course, in your case, you want to give it a better name. So this is where all your posts are going to show. Now, if you wanted to, you can also further customize this a little bit, but I'm going to keep things very, very simple here. Next, I'm going to add somewhere where people can subscribe to my newsletter, and I'm also going to show you how to do that. So I've added a new container. Let's give this a background color just to distinguish my containers. So I'm going to go to background and color. That's my secondary color right there. And let's search for opt-in. And let's search for a form. I'm going to add my form, and I'm going to remove here where it says message. I'm going to not show the label. So all I have is name and email. And for the buttons here, I'm also going to customize that by coming to style. And for the button, border radius, set this to 2. So while I'm here on the form, you can see here we have our messages. So this is what will show once the form is sent out. But back over here on the content tab, I want to go to action after submit. So you can decide what you want to do here. You can collect submissions, email, or whatever it is. This is where you can connect this to an email autoresponder, which I'll show you in the next step. But for now, we just want to create this and make it look awesome. Okay, so I'll show you how to add that. Next, I'm going to come over here and I am going to add my text. Drag and drop it, and let us center this like that. And then back over here, I'm just going to hit enter and set this as a heading for that main part. And pretty much I'm very close to getting my email opt-in. Right, so now let me go into style, advanced. Let's add our padding. Make sure it's set to %, 8, 8. Okay, so that's looking good. If you want to reduce the size of this, just click on it and go to advanced, width, custom, and then we can set the custom size. So let's go with 70 and center it. All right, so that's looking great. That's our opt-in part. So I'm going to save this, and then over here on the publish, I'm going to hit publish, and I'm now going to choose the specific page this template needs to apply. So over here it's pages, and then I'm going to click on the drop down here and search for blog. There we go. Boom. Okay, so it's time now to take a look at our blog page and see what it looks like. So over here now, when I refresh, you can see now that this is our blog title, and this is our latest post. Okay, so there's a few things I need to do here. I can see that this title here is way too big. Ideally, I want it a bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to my blog, and I'm just going to go and do some minor adjustments in here. So I'm going to click on edit template. All right, so with that now I can go into the title and reduce its size. So notice that it's set here to H1, but it doesn't really matter now about the size, because I can always come here under typography and set this to maybe 1.4 EM. Okay, that looks much better now. I think I like that. Maybe even 1.2, because this is bold anyway. All right, and then this text here also needs to be a bit smaller. Let's go to style, and let's go to text, typography, and you can see here that it's not set. So we are going to set it to, let's try 0.9. Yeah, I think 0.9 works. So when we take a look at our blog page, you can see now that my text is much smaller, and this looks much, much better. So what we're going to do now, I want to show you something very interesting. When we add our blog post onto our website, we don't need to add it in the actual Elementor theme builder. So let me show you what I mean. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come back here and exit to my main WordPress. Then I'm going to leave. So what I'm going to do is to add a few blog posts. So I'm going to go in and add new. So the way to add your blog post is to just start adding it here in the block editor. So you don't need to activate the Elementor builder. So you just want to go in and start entering your content. So I'm just going to enter in a few text here. And then for the title, I'm just going to paste this general title here. Over here on the right, I am going to set my category. So I'm just going to set it maybe to fitness. And I also need a featured image. So I'm going to come over here and add my featured image and then click set featured image. Excellent. So what I'm going to do next, if I wanted to, I could add some images in this blog post, but this one here, I'm going to leave it blank and hit publish. Hit publish one more time. And let me view the post and so that you can see that our template is actually working. So as you can see here, we have our image in the background. Our template is working well. If I scroll down, it has the user here, the social media icons, and we also have this area here on the bottom, which is our comments area. But we are going to come and design our comments area further because as you can see, this is not very exciting. All right, so what I'm going to do is to add one more blog post. So again, back over here, I'm going to click on this plus button, add post, and then I'm just going to enter my text like that. Give this the title. I'm just going to grab a bit of text from here. I'm going to copy it and paste it like that. Over here, I'm going to set this to blog, set my featured image. And this time my featured image is going to be, which one should it be? Okay, let's go with this one here. Set featured image, and then we're going to publish. Hit publish one more time. And if I click here to view, notice what happens. We now have our blog post. It has our text here. So everything is going to be very, very consistent. Now let's move on and work on the rest of the pages here. So what I want to do as well is to go to my template. So I'm going to go to theme builder, and the template I need to create is a template for all my pages. So I'm going to click here on add, then I'm going to go to single page. All right, so I'm just going to close out of here because I need to build this from scratch. Click on this plus button and then add my container. So in this container, I really want my page title to come in here. So I'm going to now, first of all, adjust my height, change this to VH, and I'm going to set this to 50. Okay, now maybe even 40. All right, so 40. And then over here on the style, I'm going to add an image on the background. So I'm going to click here on background type. And then for my image here, I want this image to be a featured image. So I'm going to select it. And then the next step is to add my page title in here. Click on this plus button. And then I'm just going to drag and drop post title. So post title, page title is pretty much the same thing. And then back over here on my container, I just want to make sure that this is centered. So I'm going to come over here and hit center. And my text here needs to be white, because we are going to have a dark background. So with that selected, I'm now going to go to style and choose my text color over here like that. So the final thing now is just to add an overlay. So I'm going to click on my container again, and then I am going to go to style, scroll all the way down to background overlay, and then I'm going to choose my color. So I want my color to be this one here, and maybe go to about 0.44. All right, so we're going to save this and take a look and see what it looks like so far. I'm going to hit publish. And now this says pages. So I'm going to say to all pages, but I want to exclude a few more. So I want to come over here, change this to exclude front page. And I may also want to exclude the blog page. So again, I'm going to go in exclude. So I'm going to say pages, and then I'm going to go ahead and search for blog. Here it is. So that's my condition. I'm going to save and close. Okay, so now let's try and view the live website. So now if I go to About Us, we can see now we have this part here. So all our pages now are going to have that title. Look at that, contact. So in order for our image to show, we can go now on Edit Page. And then over here on Featured Image, I can just go in and set my featured image. So for my featured image for this one, I am going to go with this one right here, set featured image, and then I'm going to hit update. So I want to view the page and see if my image is going to show over here. And sure enough, it shows. But we have a slight problem because we haven't really aligned our page here, or our image, to show properly. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm back here on my post, and I want to go in and fix that by coming over here to style. And where is my image overlay? It's over here. And now I'm going to click on classic, featured image. So the position here needs to be center. The repeat needs to be set to no repeat, and display size cover. Okay, so with that now, I'm going to hit publish. Okay, so the next part is to add our post content area. So I'm going to click on this plus button, and I'm going to add my post content widget. So I'm going to come over here, and here it is. Drag and drop it. And I just want to adjust this a little bit because it's way too big. So I'm going to come back to layout and reduce this to about, let's say 32. So now that we have our post content, I'm going to hit publish. And then now when I go to my About Us page, let me refresh this so you can see what I mean. I can now start adding all my content in here. So let's just copy a paragraph of lorem ipsum here like that, so I can show you how this works. All right, so that's our paragraph. We can add our image in here. So I'm just going to add a /, choose my image, and it's going to be from my media library. And here is the image. I'm going to hit select, hit update. So the key here is knowing that when we start adding all our content to our pages, we should not use the Elementor page builder because we have already created the template. So with that now, I'm going to hit preview and preview in a new tab so we can see what we have here. And sure enough, we have our text, we have our image in here. But of course, this doesn't look really awesome because the spacing is not right. So this is our main template. So I want to go in and give this some breathing space. And this is going to be done using padding. So I'm going to get rid of that, change this to percentage, and we're going to set this to 6% to the top, 6% to the bottom. And that's going to give us enough breathing space for our design. So if I hit publish, now let's take a look and see what our page looks like. I'm going to refresh it, and sure enough, now we have some spacing there. Okay, now let's continue on because this is getting fun. If I come back and let's say, okay, so now on my blog post, let's say I want to add a bit more information. I can just click in here, hit enter. So let's say I want to add some text, add a /, and this is going to come in as a, in fact, we've added our text already. Now let's add a list of items. So I'm going to say list 1, hit enter, list item 2, hit enter. So let's say I want to add some columns. I can just choose my column like that. And let's say I want to go with 50-50. And now I can start adding all my content in here. So let's say this time it's a video. I can type in video, and let's say this is going to be YouTube. I can now enter my YouTube URL. So let's say if this is the video I need to use, I'm going to copy the URL and paste it in here like that. Click on embed. Over here to the right, let's say I want to add perhaps maybe a paragraph text. I can just paste it like that. Now let's say I want this to be a title. All I have to do is to click here on paragraph and then set this to heading. Now I can hit update, and then over here to the top, I think this needs to be a heading as well. So we're going to highlight it, change this to heading like that. So this is our final design. So I know this may not be the desired layout you want to do, but this also works in situations where you just want to create a quick layout or a quick page and you want it to follow some certain rules. However, we can also design our pages from scratch using Elementor. Now let's do that on the next example. So what I'm going to do now is I want to go back and remove some of the options that we have on our contact page. So I'm going to go to dashboard, and then I'm going to come all the way down here to template, and let's go to our theme builder. So here it is. So we want to remove the contact from the template. So I'm going to click here, and you can see that, in fact, you know what? It may be a good idea to go in and label these. So I'm going to click on edit. So I'm going to click on these three little dots here, and then click on rename. And I'm going to call this blog post. Now, the reason why we need to do this is because as we're designing more and more templates, we want to be able to go in and identify them in our theme builder. Okay, so in fact, this is a blog page, not blog post. Okay, I'm going to hit change. And at any point, if you want to work on your conditions, you can just click here. And in fact, let's set this again. I'm not sure why this was removed. So let me search for my blog page. Great. Now I can hit save and close. So let's do the same here. I'm going to click on these three little dots, click on rename, and I'm just going to call this single page, and then click on change. And what I'm also going to do is to come over here to conditions, because this is where we need to disable this from certain pages. So for this example here, I want to exclude this from the front page, but I also want to exclude it from the contact page. So I want to show you how to create the contact page from scratch. So I'm going to come over here and click on exclude pages, and it's going to be my contact page. Select it, save and close. Excellent. So now I have my blog page and I have my single page. And then over here on the posts, you can see here it's named single post, which is also very good. So now let's work on our contact page. So over here with contact selected, I can now say edit with Elementor, and I can now start to work on this. I'm going to click on this plus button and add my container. So for this, it's going to be my contact page. So I want to add an image here in the background. So I'm going to come over here to style, background, and I want to choose my image by clicking here. And for my image, I am going to use, let's go with this one here. Select, and I can further customize this in the position. I'm going to say top center, and I want to make sure that this does not repeat. Okay, and the size needs to cover. All right, so all I have to do now is to go in and increase the size of my container here. So I'm going to go to layout, and let's go to VH and just drag the slider until you're happy with where it is. So I'm going to go with 52, and I'm also going to add an overlay here. So I'm going to go to style, background overlay, and then I want to choose my color by clicking on the global item. So I want to try this and see if this is going to be the color that I want. And yeah, I think so. And this is going to be consistent because I've used this before. So that's great. Next, I want to click here on this plus button, add another container. And this time I'm going to add two items. So I want to add the address first, and then I also want to add the form. But as you can see, we don't have, so let's start by adding the form. I'm going to click here on this plus button and add my form. So here it is, drag and drop it. And I also need to add my address. So I'm going to click here on this plus button. And all we need here is a text editor. Drag and drop it. All right, so now that we have these two, I want to give this some breathing space. So I'm going to click here on the container itself, go to advanced, and we are going to add some padding to this. So I'm going to change this to percentage, break the chain, 6 to the top, 6 to the bottom. All right, so that's looking great. The next step is to make sure that these are side by side. So first of all, go to layout, change the direction. So now my form is on the right and my text is on the left. So I can change the direction as well if I wanted my form to be on the other side, but it doesn't really matter. I think this works great. So all I have to do now is to go in here and adjust my text. So I'm just going to say contact us. So here, when you notice that this is way too thin, what you can do is to just click here and just drag it over to the right so that you get the desired size. So I think that works great. So all I need to do now is to go in and set this to, let's go with heading 3. Okay, that's great. And then over here, I think everything looks great. So let's save and publish. Now, if you wanted to add a title into this area here, you can do this. You can do that by clicking on this plus button. And let's add a heading, drag and drop it. And I'm going to make sure it's centered by clicking on the container again. Coming back to content. In fact, we need to click the container, okay, and then center everything like that. Or we can set it all the way to the bottom like that, but I prefer it centered. So the next step is to remove this contact here. So I'm going to click on my post settings, and then hide the title. And for the form, I'm going to go in by clicking on this pencil icon and make some adjustments. So what I need is to add my email. So I'm going to come over here to email. So you can see here, it says Mac at Creative Astro. That's what I really want. And this is where you can enter your from email address and from name as well. So over here, I can just say Mac and then reply to. I can also add my email address in here. So that's all you need to do to adjust this, and then click on publish. Okay, so let's take a quick look at our design, and we can see now that this is looking really great. So the next thing I want to work on is I can see that these are not centered. So let's go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to go to the container itself and just make sure that these are spaced around. So now the alignment of this is looking much, much better. Hit publish one more time, and there we go. All right, so as we look at this page and this website, you notice one thing. When I scroll all the way down here, we don't have a footer. So that's what we need to work on next. So to work on our footer, we need to go to our theme builder here. So let's go to footer, add new. So there's several types of footers here. So I'm going to say apply, and now we have our footer here. So the first thing I'm going to do is to come over here and delete this logo and choose our own. So I'm going to go in and delete this one. And then I'm just going to add site logo like that. For this text here, this is going to be our site description. So I'm going to go in, change that to site tagline. And then over here, this is just our address. So I want to make sure that this is set to pop-ins. So to do that, you want to come over here to Style, Typography, and then we're going to set this to pop-ins. So you want to do to the rest of the text here so that everything is consistent. Now, before we navigate away from this page, let's take a look and see what this looks like on our mobile device. And that looks great. I really love that. So you want to make sure you keep checking to see if everything is okay. So I've hit publish. Now I can go in and refresh this one more time. And sure enough, our footer now looks way much better. Now, as you can see, this is a very clean design. So this is what we're really maintaining. So if I come to our blog here, you notice that our blog posts are there. I can now click here. So throughout this tutorial, I showed you how to set up your website using Elementor hosting. And then we went in, we set it all up. And then finally, we started working on the actual design. So throughout the design process, we worked on our homepage. We also worked on our post page. We also worked on our blog page using the theme builder. So these are the building blocks of Elementor. Now, on the last part, I also showed you how to create a page from scratch after we excluded it from the template. So this tutorial is just for beginners, but we're going to be designing advanced websites. And in future tutorials, I'll be showing you how to set up a complete shop, which has all the payments all set up, ready for you to sell your product. So please do subscribe and also hit the bell notification. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.